so here's what's going on, guys. This is the Russian DoW League. These are some Group D matches. This was apparently the best series from Group D. After this, there's going to be a bracket of 8. The quarterfinals should be this weekend, and I should be around to actually cast those. So maybe we can do those live this weekend if you're around Saturday, Cortella. You'll be around?
I should be around, yeah.
Okay.
Well, yes. The answer is yes. I will be around.
Cool. All right.
I was trying to think of what else is going on, and of course, there's the Overwatch League playoffs, which I'll be trying to watch at the same time, but I'll be around.
Cool. But yeah, with going up to the top 8, I feel like that's where the games are going to start getting spicy. We see kind of a lot of smashes in the group stages, but the top 8 players should be good. I heard something about perhaps Sky Silver was given his spot to Shroom. I don't know if that went through or not.
Yeah, and part of me actually doesn't. Part of me does want that to happen, part of me doesn't.
Yeah, like on one hand, it's like, well, Shroom should show up for his games. On the other hand, I want to see Shroom play. So
yeah, that's pretty much exactly it.
Right. Okay. Anyways,
like,
here we go.
Like we shouldn't be enabling people, but oh well.
All right.
All right, I am ready for your countdown.
Okay, let's do it. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And I'm at 6, 7, 8, and on the red team, we have Adila. On the blue, we've got Bloodrain, both playing Eldar, Warp Spider, facing off against the Warlock. Are you good on your end?
Yeah, I'm good. Adila going for Double Dire Avenger right out of the gate. Bloodrain going to be looking for those Howling Banshees first up.
Oh, man. Oh, okay. I was about to say, I was going to be surprised if the Warlock didn't get Banshees. I feel like Warlock's so good with Banshees. But we're just having a slightly different build order here. The Dire Avengers coming out first against the Banshees. I don't know what. I guess you can just team up the Dire Avengers a little better together and kind of burst down some things as opposed to having the Banshees on the front line. Maybe it buys you a little more time to get your Banshees their upgrade, their aspect before they engage.
Yeah, I guess there might even just be like a slight optimization of. I'm guessing Dire Avengers have a slightly faster build time, and you might be able to like get capture points just a little bit faster if you get the Dire Avengers first, but it's probably pretty small.
All right, Banshee's screaming in here, and there's none to counter them, so this should be a 1 engagement for the Warp Spider. The Warp Spider just barely staying on the map here with a few HP. But that's one of the annoying things about the Warp Spider, is that if you don't force him off the map, you know he's just going to be capping points, teleporting around, continuing the map control.
Yeah, I mean, crazy thing about this is he actually, even with just a fraction of his health, he can stay out on the field for quite a bit longer. He can just capture points. If he starts to be shot at, he can just teleport away to safety without, as long as his reaction is on point, he can get it out there alive, even with that small hit point pool left.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is that it does require you to be on top of your micro, because I feel like, if it was me and he was this low, I would send him back, because I know I'm going to look away as soon as some Dire Avengers open a volley and take him out, but apparently Bloodrain feeling confident here.
So these Double Dire Avengers going to move out for Adila. Bring some focus fire on Bloodrain's single squad. That squad moving up back to cover, but another squad of Dire Avengers coming in from Bloodrain to help out.
And it looks like we are
losing a victory objective.
Some Rangers coming in, Dire Avengers getting their aspects. So Adila with the first tier 1.5. What did Bloodrain spend money on? Did he get some Warp Spider?
Aspects.
Oh, he's got all his aspects. All 3 of his aspects.
Got full aspects.
Alright, so Eldar mirrors are pretty tricky because everything can kill each other so fast. So it only takes like 1 or 2 wrong moves and you got a squad down. Nice retreat grenade coming in. Not gonna wipe the squad, but gets a few extra models. Go ahead.
Another thing about this matchup is you have Howling Banshees, and in most matchups, they're kind of like at the top of the food chain in Tier 1 as far as melee units go. So for most other races, it's kind of just on them to find a way to defend against the Howling Banshees. Here, in an Eldar mirror, you kind of have the Howling Banshees playing chicken with each other. And especially if you don't get a Ranger squad, your on-demand melee counter is actually the war shout from the Howling Banshees themselves.
Sure.
Has its place as well.
So yeah, sometimes you'll see people just kind of roll the dice and engage hard into the Banshees. Some will use the Banshee Scream and then pull back and try to let the Dire Avengers burst them down to kind of guarantee more of a one-sided engagement. But when Banshees just go back at each other, it can be real dicey, because if one side gets a special and the other doesn't, sometimes you don't have good control over that either. All right, here comes another big engagement. Everything's running into the center. Banshee's kind of indecisive, but didn't take much damage for it. Grenade goes down and connects big time. Forces the Banshees off.
Oh my god, 4 models down from that.
Yeah, that was perfect. It seemed like the reaction from the Banshees was exactly wrong, too. It seemed like they were actually pretty safe from it, and then they turned around to the cover. I don't know if that was just a misclick on the cover, but they kind of turned around and bunched right back up on top of the grenade.
Meanwhile, that Destructor seemingly did nothing.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird variants with Destructor. Destructor's a very fickle ability. Right,
so
Webway
mirror
gate
builds
coming
from our
down.
players. Where's that Webway? Yes, I see it now for Adila. But mirror builds from our players, going for the Rangers rather than Shuriken Cannon. Rangers typically pretty high value in Eldar mirrors, because generally just about whatever you're shooting at, aside from the hero, most of these targets are going to be high value targets for a Ranger squad, including the other Rangers themselves.
All right, so I would assume that the Warp Spider has the defender's advantage here. He has his shields up. I'm surprised he's still capping with those Rangers. I would have expected a kinetic shot or something from those Rangers, but the Banshees still get forced off nonetheless. And it seems like Adila's having a pretty hard time getting onto the map.
His Howling Banshees there were a little indecisive. They kind of went in and out. I guess he was trying to make some of that engagement, but then realized that he was kind of outnumbered and was probably going to lose whether he approached or not.
There's a little backhapping going on up top with the Warp Spiders there to kind of help shut that down. He's not in cover, though. I don't think he'll actually win this unless he moves. Is he paying attention? He might not be. Okay, I was about to say.
All right, he is paying attention. Really just taking things to the limit with that Warp Spider XR.
Grenade goes down on a whole lot of nothing. I don't know what that was about, but it was a big old whiff. The Banshees look like they have...
the rocks.
Yeah, the Banshees look like they'll be able to approach here this time around. And the thing about these energy shields is they do work both ways. So now that Adila's pushed on the map, he can kind of hide behind these on top of the rest of that. Banshees have to retreat through their opposing Howling Banshees. Big kinetic shot comes down.
What a nice kinetic pulse. I think that's the end of that squad. Yes, it is. It's a big win for Adila, considering he has otherwise been struggling quite a bit in this series or in this game.
Oh my gosh, the grenade too. Is this going to be another squad wipe?
Another one. Oh my god. Only one model left, but I think that one Dire Avenger model is in the clear.
The squad doesn't go down, but losing the Banshees and then 4 Dire Avengers, that's going to be a lot to reinforce on top of losing the squad. Bloodrain is heading into Tier 2. Adila, I don't think, is too far behind. But the Banshee loss is going to put Bloodrain way behind on field presence for the moment. Really, the only melee counter he has is that kinetic pulse at the moment. You know, he can kind of there goes a Destructor that makes up for that.
Oh, that one
count.
is nice. Are we going to see a grenade?
Ranger shot.
This one on retreat.
Oh my gosh, this is brutal.
Oh my god.
The squad goes down for both sides. Dire Avengers for Bloodrain, Rangers for Adila. Bloodrain, however, down to just one squad. Oh my gosh, and Adila loses the Dire Avengers. It's madness. We're going back to the beginning of the game now. It's just 2 squads per side.
Yeah, I even missed where he lost his Rangers.
The Rangers got hit by a grenade, and then they were weak enough that the one shot from the opposing Rangers of Bloodrain managed to finish the squad off.
Man.
And this is what I was talking about, man. Both sides have such high damage output that if you look away from a squad for a minute, you're gonna lose it. And obviously, I think I was the big misplay from there was Adila losing the Dire Avengers at the end, which could have been easily saved by a retreat.
Yeah, that was very preventable. That was more human error than kind of Bloodrain forcing his will. Warp Spider's going to come out for Bloodrain. I think did he call those in?
Yes, that was the global call in, and I think that's a great call. Between the Warp Spider with his enhanced targeters and now the Warp Spider X-Arcs, he's getting a Wraith Lord out here as well, so the Banshees are going to have a hard time getting anything done going forward.
Oh,
there's
yeah.
going to be so much range damage, and then where there's not range damage, there's going to be a Walker. So
There's actually so little Adila can do about those warp spiders right now, as we saw the Warlock leap into combat against them, and of course they just immediately teleport away.
We have located a strategic point.
So Adila trying to match it with warp spiders of his own, but I was actually surprised just how well Bloodrain was doing economically, where he got the Wraithlord so quickly after he got the warp spiders. Or at least started it so quickly.
Yeah, well, we have to keep in mind, there was a period in time in Tier 1 where Adila was just having a hard time getting on the map, and all of those requisition points, and most of the contested power as well, was in the hands of Bloodrain, so I think that's what contributed to him being able to get that Wraithlord out so quickly, and the Banshees are going to spot it and immediately fall back. Yeah, they can't stick around for this. Crack shot down on the Warp Spiders, trying to burn down this Warlock.
Yeah, I mean, look at their range when they do that. And that lone Dire Avenger squad from Adila, not going to be able to handle this by itself. Warp Spiders coming out for Adila as well, but I mean, they'll get the Haywire, but it's not going to be enough.
So Warp Spiders continuing to pressure the power node in the center, and Adila needs something to deal with this. He probably needs to at least get a Bright Lance out here.
Yeah,
but he probably needs something more than that.
I think minimum he needs to get the Guardian Weapon Team, both because of the cost of it, how quickly he can get that out on the field, just to make sure that he can put a reasonable amount of threat on this Wraithlord.
Alright, so a bit of a Warp Spider duel down here on the south side of the Gen Farm. Both sides trying to position and get into the good spots behind the cover, but Crackshot seems to be the winning move there. Even a grenade going to come in, try to take out a couple more of these Warp Spider models.
I
Two
think
go
it's gonna
down.
get one or two. Two.
Alright, Bright Lance is coming online. It's not going to be enough to take out the Walker on its own, and I don't believe the Warp Spiders have their aspects, so there's no snare available either. Warlock and Banshees locking down the top side of the map, but the map is still very much in favor of Bloodrain, and Bloodrain even going for a second Warp Spider squad.
Oh god, yeah.
That is going to be some serious ranged firepower in here. I mean, between the Warp Spider Exarch and the two squads, they can probably start giving squads in a single volley between all three. Oh, and do we see, was that the...
Entangling Web.
Yep, Entangling Web. So if you thought the...
That's going to be so powerful, too.
Yeah, if you thought the Banshees were having a hard time before getting into any action, this time around, it's going to get even worse. Nice Destructor on the Warp Spiders, but...
Double Warp Spiders, Entangling Web. Those Banshees are going to have trouble getting anything done.
From the Warp Spider Shrine.
Alright, I'm surprised we haven't seen any upgrade on the Wraithlord yet. I guess he's just been kind of waiting for the power for it. Still no Shuriken Cannon or anything out here. That Shoulder Mallet Shuriken Cannon would just take the range damage to the final stage of just obliterating all nearby infantry. Although that said...
Haywire is in, but the Warp Spider Exarch just going to teleport forward, tie up the Guardian Weapon Team, and it's out of range. The Wraithlord is out of range of the Guardian Weapon Team anyway, so another lost engagement for Adila.
We must arm for even crueler warfare.
Alright, so Warp Spiders continuing to jump around the map, continuing the map pressure. The VPs are surprisingly even despite how strong the map has felt for Bloodrain. Of course, he did lose a couple squads heading into Tier 2, which allowed Adila to get some of that map back for a bit. But again, the map's looking pretty rough for a Red Eldar player here.
All right, that Guardian Weapon Team going to set up. Doesn't have line of sight, though, on the Wraithlord, so this won't be a great position for it.
The enemy has 200.
Yeah, both players trying to get their firing lines set up. Something needs to bait the Wraithlord forward, but I really don't think it's going to happen. Bloodrain has no reason to push into this. He's got all the map, he's got all the VPs.
Oh god, it's third Warp Spider squad.
Oh my gosh, spiders are just jumping all over the map right now. Warlock's
He truly is
away
the Warp Spider Exarch.
Yeah, he's bringing them out. I don't know about this third squad. That might be a step too far, but I mean, I guess if it's working, just keep them coming. I don't know.
It's just like, I mean, it's excessive, and he would probably just win even without it, but I think it just kind of seals the deal for him. It's just way too much range damage that Adila can barely approach with anything. And the pressure is very much on Adila to approach, because Bloodrain does have the Ranger squad going down. Because he does have the victory point lead. He's got the Wraithlord, and it's really on Adila to try to take that out.
But yeah, I think Bloodrain's just getting to a point that he won't be able to be stopped. Yeah, he's just charging the position. He has no fear. He might lose his Warp Spider here, but like that's almost not even a big deal at this point. With 3 Warp Spider squads and a Wraith Lord, like what else? You don't even need your Warp Spider at that point. Grenade comes down.
Oh my god. And do the Warp Spiders themselves pay for it? No. One model dies, but they had crack shot and the grenades didn't fully hit them.
Yeah, anytime those Warp Spiders get in trouble, they're just gonna jump away. On-demand teleportation makes melee squads a little less frightening. Although getting a nice knockback there prevents the Exarch and a couple of the models from actually getting their teleport away. The Banshees are still quick. Not quite quick enough to keep up with teleportation though.
And interestingly, still no weapon upgrade on the Wraith Lord. It could definitely, I mean, at this point, it definitely could use the Shuriken Cannon, but again, it might still be that Bloodrain manages to win this game anyway, even without it.
Yeah, so the Warlock just looked like he couldn't really do much this game. The Warlock himself was pretty neutered against this matchup. There was just so much range damage. I haven't really seen him do anything other than kind of run around, throw down a Destructor or two, and cap points. Granted, Adila's been on the back foot so much, I guess he hasn't had time to buy war gear or any kind of upgrades for him. He's still a vanilla Warlock.
An Exarch emerges from the Warp Spider Shrine.
Yeah, and we had definitely some debate in the chat. Definitely, I believe it was Torpid who felt that the Warp Spider Exarch kind of just favored in this matchup. Other people's disagreed, but I definitely think there are some concrete, like specific things that the Warlock could kind of struggle with here. I mean, in Tier 1, it's going to be hard for him to get into melee against the Double Dire Avengers, as well as the Warp Spider Exarch. And even if he gets into melee, how much impact is he really going to have? How much time will he really have to do damage? So beyond that, it's kind of like his value is very much just gated around the cooldown of Destructor, and he needs to actually hit it well to get value out of it. Whereas that Warp Spider Exarch, he's going to be getting value just about wherever he can find as long as he can shoot.
Oh my gosh, the Banshees try to approach,
Yeah,
but it's such a futile gesture, like...
Yeah, this is literally 300... The triple Warp Spider's literally 300 damage per second against a squad that can maybe last in that for about 3.5 seconds.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is, he's probably just even got him on one control, but they're all just teleporting around together. They're just bursting things down. Warlock isn't even going to be able to get out of here. Oh my gosh, even getting the sync, oh, skewered on a Wraith Lord. I always like how he picks stuff up and it like kind of tilts his head like, this is a strange little guy. GG comes in and the first match is going to Bloodrain. And wow, that looked
that was surprisingly
decisive.
Brutal.
And I thought after the Banshees went down, that was going to be a huge favor for Adila.
Yeah, I mean, when he killed 2 squads, I feel like, all right, this is where he comes back in the game. But unfortunately, he lost 2 squads in return.
Yeah, that's fair enough. He did throw some stuff back. So if he had managed to kill the Banshees and get out of there, that would have been a different story. But losing Rangers and then Dire Avengers after that on top of it, I think was just one squad too many. As much as that was a huge win. I always call that the classic Red-Rupee when you get a nice advantage and then immediately throw it away. That's my style, and I'm kind of offended that Adila is trying to steal my thunder. Okay, again in the red, we've got Adila as the Warlock for the Eldar, and then the opposing Eldar forces led by the Warp Spider Exarch for Bloodrain. Bloodrain's already up 1-0, so let's see if he can finish this game out or whether we're going to the ace match.
So I like Torpid's suggestion for the Warlock. He says get the Immolator Blade and then actually keep him more in range stance, because at some point the Immolator Blade did receive a buff where it also does damage over time when it's ranged attack, so it's a little bit more powerful in ranged. And then maybe if you just try to keep the Warlock, yeah, you try to keep the Warlock more in cover. I like that idea quite a bit.
Yeah, keep him in cover, keep throwing down the flames, which forces your enemy out of cover and kind of gives you back a little bit of the edge that you lose in the range engagement versus the Warp Spider. So we'll see what Adila has planned here. Of course, we're seeing the same opening builds from both sides again. Adila and Bloodrain both with the Dire Avengers and Banshees, and a node down on their natural power farm.
support structure complete.
All right, so Warp Spider Exarch is here by himself. I'm sure he'll just teleport out just like that. Go closer to the support of his own units.
All right, Warlock spotches the Banshees, and yeah, both sides are going to just kind of be maneuvering around a little bit. We do have an early Exarch on the Dire Avengers from Adila this time around, so looking for maybe bait the Banshees in for a grenade, or at least slap down some shields.
That's a nice destructor.
All right, it's just kind of a range firefight in green cover. We do have the one squad from Bloodrain not in this engagement though, deciding to go cap on the other side. Banshees get spotted.
Aggressive. Went in for that teleport with the Warp Spider Exarch, but then just instantly retreats. Didn't exactly have too much health going in. So
yeah, I don't think
like Adila.
I guess he wasn't expecting the Banshees over here. Look at this grenade though. A down squad. Early in the match. This time Adila doesn't have anything to throw away.
Generator operation.
The engagement is over and he's moving in on the gen farms. Dire Avengers go down. It looked like, oh, Bloodrain was buying Rangers alongside Adila, but this time he's thinking maybe not. Maybe he wants to get those Dire Avengers back out here. Oh, he's going for a Guardian Weapons team instead to replace the lost squad. Alright, Banshees and Warlock moving in on the opposing War Spider, who of course will just teleport out of there. Banshee knockback coming in. This is what I was talking about. Those Banshee mirror fights are so dangerous because if one side gets a knockback, they do enough damage. This is what I'm talking about right here. Oh my gosh, they're both being so brazen. One squad goes down.
I mean, it's essentially a game of chicken, and that's really what they're doing here. Oh my god.
Grenade comes in, doesn't connect. Threatening a kill on that War Spider Exarch, but not quite getting it. One generator down. But right now we can see that despite Bloodrain not committing to the defense over here, he's had his Dire Avengers capping the entire back line here. So all the requisition points are in the hands of Bloodrain. So getting a little bit back from those early squad losses, slapping down his generators. The requisition income differential now is almost 100 per minute, so that's pretty significant.
Yeah, I mean, early on, Adila was focused on grouping up his units pretty early on, and he did force Bloodrain off, and that obviously created the pressure that also led to Bloodrain eventually using some of his squads. But Bloodrain was more focused on the map control. That's why he didn't have all of his squads grouped up. And so he still has that, at least for the moment, but Adila is trying to change that up.
Yeah, I mean, that's still a lot to lose. Like I said, the holding all the rec points helps stem that a little bit, but it's still a pretty severe advantage for Adila right now. Adila now has kind of the opportunity to take all of his map back, especially with Bloodrain being so light on field presence. Even as he moves out here, he's not going to be able to take any direct engagements. He's going to have to maneuver around, do some harass, back cap wherever he can, and put pressure in weird spots so that he doesn't just get mowed down by Adila's superior forces.
So a new squad of Rangers from Bloodrain.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what to think of what is optimal here because he's so far behind. I think honestly just getting anything is solid. He's probably getting the Rangers to help support the Shuriken Cannon. The Shuriken Cannon already pretty beat up too. Is he moving in on the gen farm on the far side over here? That appears to be his plan, but there are a couple grenades on the field. He needs to be very aware of a potential flank.
Shuriken cannon team ready.
The Shuriken is definitely low enough that one grenade could spell certain doom.
We will stand.
Setting up in this back alley right here, pretty far back, and it's kind of a hard approach, but we already see a big flank out from Adila, and he also does have that Immolator Blade, kind of as was suggested before. I think that's also something that could be helpful against the Guardian Weapon team. You put that Immolate down on the Guardian Weapon team, and that will force some movement from it, but this is also such a good position. There is the Immolate, it will move, and grenades also. Yeah, he's definitely in trouble now.
Oh man, so what happened there, and I don't know if you caught it, but the War Spider actually killed the model that was throwing the grenade and delayed the grenade throw enough that it didn't actually connect with that that heavy weapons team. So that was a pretty fortunate swing there, because I'm pretty sure that would have gone down.
Yeah, between two grenades, not a single one of them hitting that Guardian Weapon team.
when we had been seeing them hit so very impactful early on. Warspire keeps teleporting away, and we now have double Rangers, so he's... Bloodrain... Oh, wait, no, he's not going triple Rangers, is he? That has to be an Overwatch mistake.
Does it?
I don't know, maybe
in an
not.
Eldar mirror. I mean, this is something that can be incredibly impressive in an Eldar mirror. It almost reminds me back to the olden days of when Rangers, as well as Sniper Scouts, had... before they were changed in Elite Mod so that they did basically a little less burst. Just still having 3 of them means, like, models are going to be bleeding pretty fast. Like, I think a single volley from the triple Rangers should take out at least 1 model, if not 2 in some cases. And it's going to be... I think it could be tough for Adila to fight this.
Yeah, he's got the 3 Rangers and he's got the Shuriken Cannon behind it. So the Rangers can't be rushed down by anything so long as he's positioning well. Adila going for the decap on the power over here, but surprisingly, both players pretty even. Like, Bloodrain's about 40 power back, so his tier 2 will come a little later. But in the meantime, he might be able to push the field pretty hard with his current setup. Last time we saw triple Warp Spires, this time around we're seeing triple Rangers, all with their equipment, and a Dire Avenger squad as well.
But Adila will be making it to tier 2 first, and that's pretty predictable given that Bloodrain has both lost units as well as made quite a bit of an investment in these triple Rangers. I mean, not just the triple Rangers themselves, but Pathfinder gear on all 3 of them, so it's a lot of money that he has spent. He's getting close to tier 2 pretty soon, but Adila's definitely going to make it there before him, and I feel like we're probably going to see a Falcon.
Yeah, Adila even going so far as to drop 2 more additional generators, so he now has almost two entirely full gen farms. And yeah, Falcon or Wraithlord, either one here. You just need something to intimidate the Rangers, and I think the Falcon being the speedier of the 2 vehicles is probably what you want. But look at this, the Banshees are at half health before they even approach. 1 kinetic shot is all it takes. He's got 2 more to use. He could just keep knocking back those Banshees forever. The Rangers moving a little too close to those Dire Avengers. I don't know if that was intentional to try to bait the grenade out.
Yeah, that one went pretty far forward.
Reacting well. Nice grenades from Adila, but nice reaction time from Bloodrain, keeping those Rangers.
One of those hits, a little surprisingly. I feel like he backed away from it, then kind of accidentally went back in.
Yeah, I'm not sure he was expecting the second grenade to go so wide there. The Falcon's coming out. Bloodrain's heading into tier 2. The Falcon will have at least a small window here to get some work done and maybe push these Rangers off. The other thing is that with the triple Rangers, yeah, he's got to commit like all these other squads to trying to break a power node, and it's still not going to go down that quickly.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of big weaknesses to triple Rangers. I mean, it's not good at bashing generators at all. Prone to being countered by vehicle play. That being said, Bloodrain isn't too far off from getting some kind of new unit himself. I wonder what it will be. Can even just be another Warp Spider squad, but man, these Rangers are starting to be in some trouble.
Yeah, that is definitely the spooky scenario, is that Warp Spider can get called onto the field from the Exarch. And then a Haywire Grenade comes down as the Shuriken weapon teams gets upgraded to a Bright Lance. And that can spell certain disaster for the Falcon if you're a little overly aggressive there.
So one of the Ranger squads was taken down, and I think it was actually taken down by the range damage of the Immolator.
Yeah, it was. I saw that up in the corner of the screen while I was yammering away there. But one of the Rangers goes down, so kind of just as you called, having that Immolator proving to be quite useful. The Rangers took quite a bit of damage early on from the Immolator. The actual Immolate ability going down. So Warlock finding maybe a little more use this game around with that Immolator Blade, as you kind of predicted.
We cannot finish this now.
I think we also got to give the credit to Torpid. I don't actually think I would have thought of it without him, but it makes a lot of sense just when I think about it.
I wasn't even aware that their range attack had been upgraded. There's still a few elite mod changes that I'm like not quite up on.
Yeah, I've been back a little bit longer, so I definitely have, for the most part, I think caught up on a lot of the changes that I've missed over the past 3 years, but it's been tough.
Yeah, there's just so much in this game, right? There's so many different things that are happening in this game. Any one squad has so many different abilities, statistics, you know, little things like you know, you buy a melee sword and then it changes the ranged attack of your warlock. Like, oh, man.
You might know this one, but for tactic marines, and they shall know no fear, special attack knockback rate was changed from 50% to 35%.
Oh, interesting. I did not know that one.
There we go. Yeah, just yet another one.
Which is I feel like a relatively small change. But makes them a little less, specifically just all around dominant when they use that ability, because the knockbacks were truly oppressive. Now they're just a little slightly less.
All right, here is that warp spider calling.
And this is big Eldar armies from both sides now. We've got warp spiders, we've got a wraith lord, we've got falcons, bright lances on either side.
Bright Lance on the Wraith Lord as well, so he's kind of setting himself up. Oh, let's see, the Guardian weapon team for Bloodrain is...
It is a fuse alarm.
They loose fire upon us.
Our prey forgets its place.
Alright, here comes the big push. It looks like Bloodrain is ready to commit. He teleports in. Wraith Lord moving forward. Taking a lot of fire though. Haywire grenade goes down. There is another weapons team over here. There's a lot happening all over the place. Rangers getting obliterated on the far side. This Bright Lance weapons team in a lot of trouble as well. The chase continues on the Falcon up north, though.
I think the Falcon's going to be done.
Falcon goes down to a final shot from that Bright Lance. Oh dear, and Adila loses Bright Lance cannon as well.
Our Rangers have met their end. We are losing a victory.
I think with the Bright Lance and the Falcon going down, that's a pretty big win for Bloodrain. Bloodrain actually didn't lose any squads there, I don't believe. His Rangers all managed to stay alive, despite being in some peril for a brief moment there. Adila's still pushing forward, but his army is now hurting quite a bit.
Alright, Adila doesn't fully take the bait on the feet grenade.
No, he gets some nice kills on the Dire Avengers even as an answer. The points are in his control, so he's got some time to bring some things back around here. He's getting a Wraith Lord on his field, so both sides are now going to have the Walkers. Losing the Bright Lance is a big deal, though. Because,
Yeah,
I mean...
and Bloodrain...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. If Bloodrain really wants, he can still get a Bright Lance on his own Guardian weapon team, and then that just puts his Wraith Lord in such a better position than Adila's.
I trust there is purpose to this interruption.
We must save.
Oh no, Bloodrain did lose his Warp Spiders.
He did, yes.
Okay. So the Warp Spiders did go down there. Second Wraith Lord coming out. I was going to say against the opposing Wraith Lord with Bright Lance and Warp Spiders that Adila was going to have a hard time with his lone Walker, but now it's still going to be tough considering there's a second Walker coming out onto the field. The Ranger duel continues in the center of the map. The snipers continuing to fire away.
They both revealed each other.
Yeah, the numbers in favor of Bloodrain, as I guess they have been kind of this whole series so far. That tends to be the theme, is that Bloodrain's just losing a little bit less than Adila in all these big engagements. I have to say that push by Bloodrain that took out the Falcon was really well orchestrated.
Yeah, the Bright Lance Wraith Lord certainly did very well there. I think Adila still dropped his micro a little bit, because there was at some point where he actually just stopped moving the Falcon, probably just had his attention directed somewhere else, and that was part of the end of the Falcon. All right, here's the push soon. No, the second Wraith Lord's still behind. It's Adila's Wraith Lord coming out on the field, and he's the one making the push now. And this is as good a time as any before the second Wraith Lord from Bloodrain actually makes it out here. So the Guardian weapon team has been forced off.
But here's where Bloodrain makes a stand. The second Walker's on the field. The Banshees are charging forward, maybe to just ignore the Walkers and go for the Rangers and try to cut down some of this range damage. But two Walkers on one without that Bright Lance that Adila had earlier. He's not going to be able to shut down this at all. Banshees continuing to harass the back line while the push moves forward from Bloodrain. But the Warlock actually getting some work done against the opposing Warp Spider.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good crisis management by Adila, realizing that he's not going to take the fight against the double Wraith Lord, so he ignores it, focuses on the infantry, but he still has the issue with his own Wraith Lord being chased into base. And there's not any real threat on the Bloodrain Wraith Lord that's chasing him into base.
No, the Bright Lance is continuing to hunt down this opposing Wraith Lord, and even with the
oh no, yeah, it's not
even
going to
with
be
the
enough.
base aura reduction here, it's not going to be enough. The Guardians are here to finally start maybe getting some repair down if he can stall for just long enough, but it's turning back around. Here comes the repair. A special attack.
I think one more does it.
Oh my gosh.
All right, and with that, yeah.
There's just nothing out here to challenge now. Oh, and here comes the second Wraith Lord. It could be all over right here now. Losing the Walker.
This is looking like checkmate. I mean, both Walkers in base. He's fleet of footing out of there while also building some Fire Dragons to try to deal with it. So once again, I feel like kind of good crisis management from Adila, but the crisis is still pretty bad for him as Bloodrain is trying to force a triple cap.
Yeah, the triple cap's coming in. The Guardian Weapons team here is in a lot of trouble.
All right, so it won't be a full-on triple, but it's still a 2-0 ticking against him. A third Wraith Lord's going to be on the way for Bloodrain. It's very much the theme of Bloodrain's gameplay at this point, I guess. Everything good comes in threes.
Yeah, I guess that's Bloodrain's theory here. He's all about those 3 at a time. No pairs around this.
You shall have it.
It is a fusillade.
Just something to keep in mind, I guess, when you play against Bloodrain. If you see two of something, you have to assume that a third is coming.
Yeah, he's not done with it just yet. Fire Dragons managed to come out here, but unfortunately they don't last very long. Oh my god.
Getting hacked to pieces here. Yeah, they can't stand against this. Fire Dragons with the Wraith Lord would have been a different story. I think they could have burst down at least one of these walkers. But the way that engagement went, I mean, that just goes to show you the power of that shoulder-mounted Bright Lance. It's almost like the Dreadnought Melta, right? But with a bit longer range. Like, you can just continue to fire away as you pursue the enemy walkers. And it made all the difference in that last engagement.
It's definitely a little bit more like sustained damage than like the burst of the melt. Oh, and the Ranger, we're going to see a headshot. Take out that Ranger squad. Yeah, this Bright Lance, only 20 armor piercing DPS, which isn't a high number, but that 100% fire on the move accuracy makes it pretty good, as well as it's more of a sustained firing pattern, as I was trying to say, rather than that burst damage of the Melted Dread.
A nice little hollow field allowing the Banshees to get it on the Shuriken Weapons team, but there's still nothing to answer this trio of walkers. The Banshees are doing everything they can, and Adila's trying to stick it out, but oh my gosh.
Oh no.
It's just hacking and slashing and Eldar on Eldar violence over here.
Yeah, even though this game is still going, I feel like Adila has kind of been in crisis management and desperation mode for like the past 3 minutes at least. I mean, even getting the Fire Dragons, like, desperate purchase, and I feel like Fire Dragons there, out of all the Eldar commanders, the Warlock is the one who empowers them the least, because they have fairly short range. You don't have Crack Shot or Guide to increase that range for their damage. Oh man, and they're walking straight into the Wraith Lord. And that'll just be them forced off again.
Yeah, there's a Bright Lance out here now, but there's just nothing you can do. Even if you slow down one of these walkers, the other 2 are going to move up. All 3 of them have Bright Lances even, so you can't even answer with a walker of your own. You're just going to get outgunned even.
Howling Banshees moving out here. They're just going to get cut apart by those Ghost Blades. I think that's actually what they're called. And not achieve anything there other than bleed another 3 models.
The bleed is real.
So Adila's still trying to do some Eldar backcapping trickery. He's trying it, but I think it's too little too late.
Yeah, the VPs are ticking down. The army is very much in favor of Bloodrain. The Fire Dragons are doing what they can, but it's just not quite enough.
And they'll eat a grenade in the process. Can't even get the decap.
And not to mention, everything that's retreating is retreating through all these walkers, so every squad is just bleeding profusely before they get home. So Adila can't even really get anything new onto the map. We got the Warp Spider dance happening over there.
Another grenade can go in, and it's just gonna hit.
Yeah, I think we're just watching the slow, brutal demise of Adila at this point, unfortunately. There's not much he can do. It's looking like Bloodrain is going to take it 2-0, which I wasn't really expecting.
Yeah, you know, a little bit of a surprising result personally to me, but I think it's more of just a today I learned thing, and I think the today I learned is, okay, Bloodrain is actually a very good player, and I just didn't know about him.
Yeah, I
mean, I knew him as RoboCop, but I didn't know how actually good he was.
Yeah, I guess we haven't really seen him play any ones. We've seen him in a lot of team games.
Yeah, and I think another thing about that is Adila is a name that I've known for, I don't know, like 5, 6, 7 years or something, whereas Bloodrain, RoboCop, someone I've only seen coming back this year.
Sure, sure.
So there's probably a little bit of like a familiarity bias thing, but it does actually seem like Bloodrain kind of just had Adila outmatched.
Yeah, that looked pretty decisive from Bloodrain, but of course, I think both of them are still moving up, so we'll get to maybe see them throw down again. Maybe Adila can adjust his strategies to help figure out how to deal with this War Spider. And of course, the way this series works is that you do actually have the option to use any hero in your faction. You're restricted to your faction, so maybe Adila wants to try to play some War Spider or Farts here.